Multitrack videos are all the rage these days, and there's a lot of goodness out there, but there's also a lot of not so goodness. And if you're worried that you might fall into that second category, I'm here to help you out. Welcome to the Skelly School of Sound and Stuff. To start with, I'm going to pull the veil from your eyes and reveal the truth behind mine and countless other multitrack videos out there. The majority of them are mimed. A good indicator of this is if they're wearing headphones or not. If they're not wearing headphones but the audio quality is top notch and they're really tight, that's a good indicator that they've recorded it first and then filmed it later. It's the way I've done my videos from the start, and it's how I'm recommending that you do yours as well, for two main reasons. The first one being that it's just less pressure on you to get it right in one take. You can do a few different takes and splice together the best bits to get the best performance possible, because it's not a live recording, and I think that's probably what you want to have, is the best possible version of an arrangement that you've done or a cover that you're doing. And the second reason is that it's much easier to control the mix and the balance of the parts after the fact in audio software, because video software isn't meant for music production. And now you've got a reason. All you need is a rhyme. So let's choose some software and you'll have a great time. Now that you're hopefully going to start pre-recording things and filming later, we need to think about what software to use to record our audio. A lot of places online will suggest Audacity as a great free piece of software to use for audio recording, and while this is true and it can do the job just fine, it's not geared towards music making nearly as much as some other great free pieces of software out there. It'll save you a bucket load of stress and time if you use a more appropriate app. What you need is a DAW, a DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. These pieces of software run the music industry these days, and if you're a musician who doesn't use one, you're seriously missing out on all the fun. The three benefits of using a music-focused DAW for you as a budding multitrack musician are: 1, a click track, or as it's otherwise known, a metronome. If you've ever wondered how musicians stay in time when they haven't recorded together, it's usually because they use this click track or have a metronome in their ears. Every DAW has a built-in metronome in one form or another, and these will help you stay in time with yourself and sync your parts up automatically once you've recorded them. The second benefit is easy multi-track editing. Once you've recorded all your parts in, it's very easy to edit and splice takes together by navigating to specific bars and beats. This means if you butcher a phrase the first time round, you can go back and replace or patch it with another take, and no one will ever know. And finally, it's super easy to balance the volume of each part, bring up certain sections if they're getting drowned out, and also add things like reverb for a smooth, polished finish. But what DAW to choose? There are obviously the industry standard professional bits of software like Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase and Ableton, but these are pretty expensive, ranging from $200 all the way up to over $3,000. But don't worry, these are definitely not for the beginner multi-track musician. These are for people who make a living from recording and mixing every day. So no need to splash out just yet. So let's look at some equally great free pieces of software that can get you started on your multi-track adventures. First up is something you don't even have to download any software for. It's completely in your browser, as long as that browser is Chrome or Microsoft Edge, so you might have to download one of those if you don't use those. But it's called BandLab, bandlab.com, and it's actually quite powerful for something in your browser. If you head to bandlab.com, you can create an account for free. It's got these collaborative features, which means you can work on projects at the same time simultaneously over the internet and record stuff in like that. It's also got a nice social aspect where you can share songs with other creators and people can follow you and stuff like that if you're into that. Now, if you're on Windows and you're looking for something a bit more fully featured and a bit more fleshed out and more of a standalone app than BandLab, then look no further than Cakewalk by BandLab, actually. From what I've experienced in my small time looking at it, it seems pretty fully featured and quite fleshed out. And finally, if you're a Mac user and you aren't using GarageBand yet, I'm not sure where you've been for the last 15 or so years, but it's a great free app that comes with every Mac computer and is available on iPad and iOS as well. I think it was probably my first DAW. I used to go to a friend's house and make little loop-based compositions in GarageBand back in probably 2006 or something. And it's also quite an easy transition up up to Logic Pro, which is the app that I use to make my music. It's one of the cheaper professional DAWs out there, and it's a really smooth transition from GarageBand because it's based on the same system. With all these DAWs, there is a bit of a steep learning curve, and it does take a little while to get into it, but once you've got the hang of it, it's well worth it if you're after high quality recordings. And this leads me on to mistake number 3. It's the good old "you can't polish a turd" saying. If what you've recorded in doesn't sound as good as it could be, no matter how much editing you do, it will never sound as good as if you've recorded it properly in the first place. Now, you can obviously improve your recording quality with a better microphone or maybe a better instrument, or by just practicing, but we won't go there. I don't want to touch any sensitive nerves. There is one thing, though, that you can improve in a pinch for free that will greatly increase the quality of your recordings, and that is choosing the best room to record in. If you record in your bathroom, it'll sound like this. And if you record outside, it'll sound like this. And if you record outside, it'll sound like this. But if you record somewhere where there's some soft furnishings that absorb some of the sound and some of the reflections, it's going to sound a lot more neutral and be a lot less obvious where you recorded it. For example, if I record in my little bedroom studio setup with foam panels on the walls, curtains on the ceiling, it'll sound something like this. But be careful of deadening a room too much, because this can end up with your recordings sounding muffled. You don't want to sound like you're recording in a wardrobe, which I kind of have here. It'll simulate what it would be like if you deadened your room to an extreme level. It'll sound something like this. Once you've got a nice neutral sounding recording, you can then add reverb after the fact and put yourself in a virtual concert hall or a cathedral or anywhere really. This is especially useful if there's more than one of you playing in different houses, different rooms. If you get the rooms sounding as neutral as possible, you can then make it sound like you played in the same room. So grab some spare duvets and cushions and hang them up on any large bare surfaces, bare walls. You don't have to turn it into a padded cell, it just needs to be slightly softer. And a good way to test this is to clap and see if there are any weird echoes. For example, this room doesn't really have any echoes. If I go into a bathroom where everything is a hard surface and clap, it will sound like this. And if I go into a larger room with lots of bare walls and clap, it'll sound like this. So if you start putting these things into practice, I can assure you, you will see an improvement in the quality of your recordings and therefore videos. Hopefully you'll be even more proud of your work, which will in turn inspire you to do more and create more and have more fun with it and get much more enjoyment out of it all. It's also important to know that there's a difference between live performance and recording. When you're recording, you can get a lot more in-depth and precise with what you're playing, especially if you're doing multiple takes. It's actually a great way to practice because of this close-up analytical listening. So not only is it fun, but it's also good for you. If you'd like to know a bit more about how I mix and edit the audio for my videos, I've got a video coming out on that very soon, so get yourself subscribed if you're not already. Give that bell a little tingling. If you're watching this in the distant future, check downstairs for a link to that video, and also subscribe still, I guess, because there's going to be more stuff like this. And I think that's it. See you soon.